Yeah, so recording is on and we will. What was the last topic we have seen? Do you remember?
Yes.
Have you revised anything?
Functions. We learn the concept of functions.
Functions, okay. Anything related to documentation? Do we have completed the document?
No.
Notes are pending.
No, notes are pending since after variables, I think.
Variables, okay, fine. So let me see what we have studied in the this move. Okay, just basic things about. Let me share my screen first. I hope you see my screen.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so we have seen function, a very basic thing, right?
Yes.
So we have seen what do you mean by function parameter, what is the function return type, and how exactly function is returning. How exactly function is returning like this. And you got the idea, right? What is happening here?
Yes.
Or any question you have?
No.
Okay.
We discuss about the anonymous function as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then we discuss about type annotations as well.
Correct. Type annotations in the function. That was the last topic.
Yes.
This one. Okay. So in the notes, let's complete the notes. So about data types we have completed. Then type annotations. We need to write something called as type annotations here. Data types and H1 type annotations. Can you tell me what do you mean by type annotations? Type annotations.
Means
What do you mean
the
by
syntax which we follow to declare the variables.
correct? So when you talk about the TypeScript, whatever we write after the colon is called as type annotation, that we have seen.
Yes.
Right? Whatever we write after the colon is the type annotations. So when you talk about type annotations, when you talk about type annotations, so this syntax we have seen, either it is a function, or it is a function, or you can say a parameter, or sorry, variable. Type annotation is the way you represent the type. So here, type annotation in the TypeScript is the way we. So type annotation in a TypeScript are a way to explicitly specify types of variable, function, and the return values in your code, right? TypeScript is a statically superset. TypeScript is a statically typed superset of JavaScript. TypeScript is a statically typed superset of the JavaScript, meaning that it allows you to define and enforce the type during the development, which can catch the potential errors and improve the readability. So the how you do in the variables, type annotations in variable declaration like this. You define type something like this, where what is the let, you will get to know in functions. So when you say function, so this can be in the function, right? So we have seen these two things, type annotations. Okay. Now enums are remaining in the variables. We will see what do you mean by enums. Also we have written
Anirudh, we covered string interpolation as well.
yeah, string interpolation. So that is the part of the JS actually, no problem.
Okay.
In the variables, okay, data type we have covered. Here we have written something that is clear about the variables. If anything remaining, we will have modify document again.
Yes.
Okay.
Have you added
Any type?
Yeah. We learned that as well.
I think I have deleted from here. Any type. Right? Any type.
And mixed type.
And the mixed type. Okay. So let's have H1 advanced, or you can say TS specific types. So first we can say any and mixed types. Can you tell me what is a any type?
Yes, it is a type. Using that, we can define a variable which has the ability to store any value, like string or number.
Correct.
And that variable becomes of that type.
Yeah, correct. So if you see in TypeScript, the any type is a special type that represents a dynamic or untyped value. When variable is of any type, it means that, so we already have studied all these things, right?
Yes.
Just preparing notes, and by means of that, it would be good revision for you also. So when a variable is assigned to the type any, it means that TypeScript will treat that variable as if it could have any type, and no type checking will be performed by TypeScript compiler. Essentially, here you can say, essentially, the any type allows you to opt out the static typing for a particular variable in the expression. Means it will work as there is a no type, like JS. So here we can say where dynamic value any 42, dynamic value can be this, dynamic value can be this, right?
Yeah, and Anirudh, while programming, I learned that whenever I print, like here in this example, dynamic value, it will print me
True.
the last updated.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. It will print true. Now, for certain reasons, you need to avoid using or you can say special types. You need to avoid using any. Why? So you need to avoid using any for below reasons. A lack of type safety, first thing. Then limited tooling support, you'll get to know this thing. And reduced code readability and maintainability. So for these reasons, you need to avoid using any type. Let's do this as H2, any. Okay, now what do you mean by lack of safety? Since TypeScript doesn't enforce type checking for any types, right, you will lose the benefit of type safetiness, since TypeScript doesn't enforce type checking for any types. Any means this any, remember that. You lose the benefit of static typing. You are losing the purpose why you are using TS, right? You are using TS just for static type checking, and you are losing it by using the any. So you should avoid using any. Then type errors that could have been caught at a
Sorry. Here, static typing means whatever we define, right?
correct.
Example, numeric. So it should store the numeric value.
Correct. It should store, and
we are not able to we are not able to use that facility like static typing.
if you use any, yes, and that's why you should avoid using any. In very rare cases, if you are doing some backward compatible kind of thing, you can use any. Otherwise, you should stop using any. Even Angular gives you error if you use any. There is a configuration. Even here also we can make that thing, right? We'll see that. Limited tooling support here. IDs and the text editors rely on this TypeScript's feature like auto completion. See here, IDs and the text editors rely on the TypeScript static typing to provide features like auto completion, code navigation, and refactoring assistance. When using any, you won't get a same level of support from these editors. When you make something any over here, VS Code get confused what to show. That's what it is saying. Reduced code readability and the maintainability. The any, here you can say any. The type any provides less information about the expected types of the variables and make the code less self-documenting. Readers of the code, right? Sorry, it's not bold. Readers of the code may find it harder to understand the intent behind using any, right? And that's why you should stop using any. But now last para about why it is necessary. Then why any has been given? You ask this question, right? While there are situations where using any might be necessary, such as integrating with the existing JavaScript code or dealing with the data from the dynamic sources, it is generally recommended, right? It is generally recommended to use more specific type whenever possible to take the advantage of the TypeScript typing features to improve the code readability. But if you have written a code 11 years back and now you need to provide support to that, you need to write sometimes any. There is no option. The third party libraries, if you are working with, you need to integrate it in Angular. At that time, it is absolutely necessary sometimes to use any. That's why any is important. Okay? Now, in TypeScript, you can have, we have written the special types here. Here, any we have discussed. Now, H2 union types, right? What do you mean by union type? A union type allows variable mixed type. you can say. A union type allows variable to have one of the several specified types. You can use a pipe operator to create the union type. For example, this let var number or string, then value of the var is either 42 or the value of var is hello. Correct? Union types. Then this thing I didn't cover at that time. Let's cover now. Intersection type. So H2. Intersection types. So presently I deliberately didn't cover it, but let's write it. Intersection types. Because you don't know just a minute.
Yeah.
So for working with the intersection of the types, you need to know few things. So presently I will write something, okay, but you don't understand that part because we need to cover some other things in the TypeScript. But remember about this, I will cover it later. Let's discuss the theory. Intersection types combines multiple types into one. You can use an AND operator to define these types. You can use AND operator to create the intersection type. The resulting type includes the properties and methods from the constituent types. Now, if I write the example, you will not understand that. But see here, there is something called as interface car, then interface electric, and there are a lot of things like this in a TypeScript. Can you see? And we have used over here. So electric car can have both, electric car object can have both the features. So this is one kind of object. This is another kind of object. This is another kind of object. And this electric car can be a both. So whenever you define the electric car, it should be brand and model coming from the car and battery capacity coming from the electric.
That means it inherits the property from both.
Correct. You can consider like that. But TypeScript call it as intersection types. This is a union types. So union types was not having any dependency on other concept like what do you mean by interface. We are going to cover that in the object oriented programming. But just remember that there is something called as intersection types. Okay. So special types, and here we can say any. This is union type and this is the intersection type. So whatever I am covering, I am repeatedly saying this, it is available here. Whatever I am covering, it is available here. Okay. Union types, can you see here? Union types and intersection type is also available somewhere here. Okay, because of Fine, we'll see that. Because of there is no concept of interfaces, it might not be here. But if you see, this is about what you can say variables. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to come back to the variables again once we proceed. Let's go to the functions. And in the functions, what we have studied in the functions. So first we have studied a basic syntax of the function, right?
Oh,
A basic syntax of the function. Now when you talk about the functions, so first we have studied this. Then if you see, this is the function type we have studied, right? This is also a function type. The fn1 is of type this thing. So let's go in the variables, and again I will say a function type. H2 function type. Can you tell me what is a function type?
function type means
You can define the type. You
we
can,
can define a variable which will be of type function.
correct? So variables can be of function type. Variables can store the value of type function. Now this is something new,
Yes.
right? This is something new. What do you mean by that? Just go to the code, and where fn1, see here, where fn1, so this is the function type which would be having a value function, which would be having value function. Can you explain this syntax if you remember?
Yes. So like the fn1 is a function of function type, and if you want to call this, you can simply you can simply write fn1 and opening closing brackets.
Okay,
That means it, it it returns nothing, void.
correct,
It means return nothing.
correct. But this is important over here. This is important over here to note that this is a type function. This is very important to remember. This is what? A type function.
Yes.
This thing represents the fn1 is of type function.
So here, in this case, after the colon, the opening and closing round bracket indicates a function as a type,
Correct.
right?
Yeah,
And after that, the arrows and void means the return type of that function.
correct. So return type of this function,
Correct.
right? Return type of this function. So in JavaScript and in TypeScript, in JavaScript and in TypeScript, variables can indeed store the values of the function type. Functions are first class citizens. Now what do you mean by this? We will cover separately. under the higher order functions. Functions are the first class citizens in these languages, which means that you can treat function like any other variable, assigning them to the variable, passing them as an argument to other function and returning from the other function. We will see that. This is the example. To fn1 you have assigned, fn1 is of type this function, which means that this function will not accept anything and will return the void, means nothing. That is what the function type is. Okay, now in the functions so in the TypeScript, functions play a vital role. In any programming language, functions play vital role. So how do you define the functions? Functions in the TypeScript are very similar to the JavaScript. So, and that's why first we had seen a normal function. It's a JS function, right?
Yes.
Then in the TypeScript, how functions are defined? Functions are defined in this way. Same thing, but you just have added the type annotations here, type annotation here, type annotation over here, right? So TypeScript, like in a JavaScript, can be declared and invoked, and they can have parameters and the return values, okay, like JS. However, TypeScript adds the static typing to the language, allowing you to specify the types of parameters and return value, making your code more robust and more maintainable, right? Then how do you define the function? H2 function declaration. How do you declare the function? So the way you declare function in a JS, in the same fashion you can declare the function, like move. Like what? Move. A is of type number, B is of type string, and whole function is returning something like this, and then we are calling something like this, correct? This is how function declaration will work. Actually, this should be mh1, function declaration, right? Any question?
No.
Now this much we have covered so far, right?
Yes.
Let's have now today's topic, function declaration. Now variables in the functions, day 8, and here I can say app01.ts, and here we can say function manage, which should return. It is not necessary to write every time types, but you are new to the TypeScript, so I am adding it. So here I can say it is returning a number. Manage, I can say a number, or we can say n1, and here we can say n2. This is also of type number. Now can you see you are getting error? Return n1 into n1 plus n2, something like this. n1 into n1 means what? n1 square, here you can say, plus n2, some arbitrary logic I am writing. Correct? Or more precisely, let's do n1 upon n2. n1 upon what? n2. Now this function might generate some error. So here I can say console.log manage 1 upon 1 will work fine, correct? No problem. Then 10 upon 2 will work fine. Then 10 upon 3 will also work fine. Then 5 upon 0 might generate a problem. Correct?
Correct.
And 1 by 2 might work well. cd day 08, clear it, and here you can say node app01 dot ts, node. What happened? Manage, we are calling manage. Can you identify the problem?
Unexpected body.
I'm doing some mistake. Can you tell me what mistake I'm doing? Think in 1 minute and tell me. I'm making deliberately one mistake.
Okay. Syntax is correct, right? But it is pointing to the colon.
What is the process of running your TypeScript application? What is the process of running TypeScript application?
You did a TSC, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Okay. TSC is missing.
TSC is missing, correct. So first you need to compile it. I didn't compile it, right? And directly I'm doing node like this. tsc app01.ts, and can you see here file is getting generated. Then now app01.js. Can you see here it is showing something as infinity, then 01, and all other things are okay. But here it is giving me trouble to the infinity. What is infinity? I don't know. So JavaScript and TypeScript both say that if you think that you can assign some default numbers equals to 1 and this equals to also 1. Now what will happen over here? This problem won't be getting resolved in that way. But if you have not passed anything, or if you do something like this, it will consider 1 upon 1 automatically. Why it will consider 1 upon 1?
Because it takes the
Default value. It takes what? Default value. Right?
Yeah.
Default value. What do you mean by default value? If you don't pass anything, so it will understand the default value. So this is important. Default value is important. Any question?
No, I got it.
This is clear, right?
Yes.
Now 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 this is about a named parameter, sorry, function declaration, and here we can say default parameters. H1 default parameters. So you don't need to pass anything. Now I will create one more file here. Now how to handle this infinity is another story. We will see shortly. app02.ts. You're understanding this, right?
Yes.
Now I can have a var fn is equals to. Now tell me what is this. And here I can say n is of type number, n into n. What do you think? What is this?
Fn is a variable of type function.
Okay.
That function has parameter n of type number,
Uh-huh.
which returns n into n in again numeric value.
But what is this? What is the type of this fn?
Function.
How? Where I have written that?
You mention in the brackets.
Where? This one?
This, yes.
But this is the type.
You have not written coding, right?
Yeah.
This is something different.
Yeah.
Right.
So can you tell me what is this exactly?
Function fn will be of type numeric.
Fn would be of type numeric.
Is it means this fn will be declared with the calling anonymous function? This is my guess. I am not sure.
Okay.
Anonymous function.
Uh-huh.
Function takes numeric n as a parameter, and it returns n into n, and that numeric value will be stored into a fn variable.
Okay. Fine.
But fn is a numeric type, not of function type, because after fn we write equal to.
Okay. Now see, if I hover the cursor over here, can you see what VS Code is suggesting you? Var fn colon something like this. Now I will improvise this code. Var fn1 colon. It's a.
So what I told earlier was correct.
Now you tell me. So here you can say, if you see this, n is of type number, and then n into n. So if you need to write it into the form of Typescript, this would be something like this. This would be again, here I can say n and n into n. See now. What is this now? Where fn1, so after the colon what comes? Type. Technically it should be like this. Now your question is, your question comes over here, what exactly this is.
Yeah.
So this thing is called as arrow function or lambda function, or what? Lambda function. So far what we have seen, functions can be represented or written like this function ABC, correct? This is a valid form of function. Then we have seen where fn2 is equals to this anonymous function. This is a correct, right?
Yeah.
And here I can say console.log hi, or say normal function. So to this we can say anonymous function. And JavaScript says also this thing. Instead of writing all this thing to the anonymous function keyword and other thing, you can delete these things and simply add arrow over here. Even these brackets are mandatory. If only one line in the function, even these brackets are what you can say redundant if it is a one liner function. So meaning of this line is exactly same. It is just another representation of this ABC function or this anonymous function. And this has been introduced in ES6. Getting my point?
Yeah.
So a new way of declaring the function is arrow functions in the JavaScript. Is what? Arrow functions. Both or all three lines are same. They have same meaning. There is no difference. Correct? Any question? So this is the arrow function. And now here what you have done, fn, so this represents the TypeScript type, right? This represents the type, and this is the actual function which is represented in the form of arrow. This is the actual function which is represented in the form of arrow. This is the function definition. This is the type annotation. This is the function definition. This is the type annotation. This is the function definition. So if you write this fn1, or here we can say fn4, where fn4 is this, so you may delete this and you can write anonymous function. N is of type number, and then return n into n, one and same, which proves this. fn4 is of type this is the type. You getting my point or not?
Yes.
Either you write anonymous function over here, or you write what? This arrow function over here. This is the definition. This is the declaration of the type. You got it, right?
Yes.
Arrow functions. So default parameters. Then, yeah, go ahead. Arrow functions. This is clear or not?
Yes.
Arrow.
The syntax are a bit.
Yeah, syntax are new to you.
But yes, I'm getting what you're doing.
Yeah. So in this way we have defined function traditionally, this one. In this way we have defined anonymous function traditionally. And ES6 comes with a new thing. ES6 says that, okay, all these are the traditional approaches to write a function, to represent a function, to define a function. So I will give you a new way. Arrow console.log anonymous function. This is the new way you have got in ES6. Now you know what do you mean by ES6. Can you tell me what is that?
That so mass scripts, right? You mentioned about that, and everything, whatever comes new, is documented on
ES6, a new version of the JavaScript,
JavaScript. Yes.
which gives you which gives you what you can say,
Whatever the features.
new features. Yeah, they maintain the new features.
Yeah, they document it. Right?
Correct. And they document it. It is just the specification document. What language would be having and what it not having.
Yeah. So, Anirudh,
Yeah, go ahead.
you mentioned about this arrow function or lambda function.
Uh-huh.
Here, like it is in one line.
Correct. One line. Multi-line also possible. I'll show you.
Yeah.
So here, okay, let's keep the one-liner as it is, where fn5 is equals to, let me deliberately write the types, is of type nm, is of type string, and which will return the number. This is the type you are defining. Or here I can say it can return the string also, or it can return the boolean. Union types, right? So here we can go inside this. Let's create the function. Either you can create anonymous function like this, that is also okay, but it should return one of them. That's why it is giving an error. It should not return the void. If you see the error clearly, type void is not assignable to type nm, string, number, or boolean. This function should return either of them. Right? So here we can say simply if condition, we can write if nm is exactly equals to abc or a, then we should return number, say 10. Again, if we can say nm is exactly equals to b, can you see, we should return nm as it is, else we should return the function like this. Now see, nm we didn't define here, nm is of type string. So for your understanding purpose, I have written first in the traditional way. I will write now where fn6 over here, again type would be same and code would be same, is equals to, now see I'm writing arrow function, and same code I can write over here, multi-line. nm is of type string. Right? Hello?
Yeah, yes. So here is only function name is missing, right? I mean function
Keyword is missing.
Keyword is missing.
Now
Rest everything is
same. Now what happens over here? Every time you cannot write this much. So presently it is just accepting one parameter, but it can accept 5 parameters also. So so this type becomes heavy or lengthier type, and that's why TypeScript says that, boss, if you have something like this, I can say special fn, if it is something like this, you can create the type alias. You can create what? Instead of writing this much, F7, you can simply say SPCIAL, spatial function. And you can do something like this. Can you see spatial function? NM is of type string and return ABC like this. What is this? Alias means for this much kind of wording, for this much kind of type, you have given this name. Nothing fancy. This is optional. You write it or you don't write it.
Yes.
Right? And that we will be covering under the variables, type alias. Type alias. A lot of things are there, but I am limiting myself because you are very new to the TypeScript. Right? So you understand this thing. First, I have created a problem over here. This is the problem. So if I need to define a variable 10 times like this, I need to repeat this line 10 times.
Yeah.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, like that. And I need to write everything 10 times, which is a problematic.
Yes.
So TypeScript says that, boss, you can use a new feature that is nothing but what? Type alias. Correct?
Yes.
It is just a naming to the types. That's it. And one more thing I will write that we will see tomorrow. Interfaces. Interfaces as objects. Interface as object. So presently you don't know this thing. This is the interview type question. What is the difference between type alias and object? Interface. We'll see that.
Can you just move to the code?
Yeah. I will push this code. TypeScript. TypeScript. What things we have seen? Alias. Alias. Default parameters. Arrow functions. And notes. And prepared notes. Notes are pending for today's topic. I have pushed the code. Yeah.
I'm little confused for line number 28.
What's the concern?
Like you mentioned, like fs6 will be a variable of type function. Okay, and that is fine. This type annotation I understand, which will return either number, string, or date, right?
Correct.
So after that, you mentioned, okay, so that nm string is a
This name.
arrow function. Okay, arrow
So this
function
can be
actually.
anything. This variable name can be absolutely anything. If you are confused with this, I can write it anything. This nm is this whatever this.
Okay, so this whatever you wrote here is a actual function definition.
This is an actual function definition.
Got it. Okay.
Done?
Yeah.
I think you need to leave early.
Yes.
Fine then, no problem. We can conclude the session. I hope you are practicing on your own.
Yes, I will practice today's session.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah,
Let's
thank you.
disconnect. Yeah.